both my parents were born in Italy, and they were immigrants in France, in Marseille, where I was born myself. So I am French, and very soon I was attracted by other country. This was quite some years ago, because I'm not born yesterday. And I was first to England, and then as a country where I travel, England, I live a bit. And I was for many years with an English nationality person, so to say that the language, the other language, the other culture was important for me. And finally, I settled in Brussels. Well, I'm not working in the European institution, so I'm not in Brussels for that. But I remain in Brussels because it seems to me to be a laboratory for this mondialism and this globalization and the different identity together. And for me, that is very inspiring as an artist. I don't know that many culture. Of course, here it's very comfortable for me also because I can speak French, so I feel a bit a foot in France, and still I am not in France. And that is interesting about identity and enlargement of your identity, nationality, territory, and enlargement. And I feel Brussels is very interesting for that. And when I was invited to give a talk, well, I was very surprised because I thought, well, I don't even know this thing. And I thought what I am going to say. I didn't feel like showing my work because my work is a question mark at the moment. I don't feel that strong and that positive about my work, so I felt no, that's not a good idea. The other part of my work is that I am a therapist in the self-development, and these two work were beside each other in my evolution. So as a person, I work about identity. Well, identity is very much with the territory. The territory is your own parents, whether you have them or you don't have them, whether you are adopted or not, but and the place where you are born, and then how you enlarge that. You go to the schoolmate, to the friend, and you travel. How do you enlarge? And then becomes a problem, where do you put a limit? In the self-work of identity is always the question of how much you confirm your identity and you remain open to the other one, or you are engulfed and vampirized by the other one and you are afraid. And that's what you have with the family you have with the nationalism. I am from France, and there is, we know there's not only, unfortunately, only in Holland that there is this phenomenon. But going back to that, I thought, well, to speak with that maybe is too much for me. At the moment, is too much art for artists and the public that is interested in art. And if you are not an artist and you're not interested in art, then you are out. So what is behind art? And what is something that can be in therapy, everyday life, and art as well? And for me, it was a creative process. And then we have to make a link between the individual and the society and find new things in a world that is in crisis. I was thinking, what is creativity as an impulse can be in everyone. Maybe some people are more creative than others, but can it be in everyone? And can this creativity has an impact to find new paradigm in a way, in a world that is in crisis? Well, I'm not going to repeat some of the things that have been told before me by the ambassador, the second one of Bulgaria, and this lady, which I appreciate very much, which spoke about not only the opening aspect of Europe, but all the defense against Europe, because when your identity is too spread out, then you become in danger, and so again the frontier comes. And nowadays this creativity is very important, because creativity, what does creativity? Creativity, well, if you take the word create, who created the world? In every civilization there is God. Whether you believe or you don't believe, create is God. He created the world and he created the people. And so before there was nothing, and then you make a creation and there is something what there wasn't before. And that is really the first meaning of creation. Whether you do something that is not value or something that has value, it is an act of creation. And to create that, you have got to have intuition and imagination and intelligence and awareness, solitude, silence, and yet there is something around you. And all the creators that left the mark to the society, that their work remain, they are people that went beyond something. And that is why they were aware of what was around them. A person that makes something new is a person that awake the dormant seed that is there. Like these glasses are a dormant seed. Well, when it's dormant, it can be dormant for 3 centuries again, and then you will find as a fossil, oh, there was this pair of glasses three centuries ago. But if you are aware that this dormant seed is a potential for growing something, a flower or whatsoever, then you become creative. So creative is creating something not out of nothing. It's created something, seeing links where there is something, but it makes a relationship, and so it gives meaning. And I think in our world where the politicians, they try their best, and sometimes they do their best, but it's difficult nowadays to find solution. With the financial, we know that, well, it is not as secure than it used to be. And so we have got to find somewhere in ourselves, not just in the politician, in the financial, in the institution, but every one of us as a citizen, we have got to find somewhere this impulse of creativity. And maybe to make art, but maybe to make something, to have other way of related and understanding. And to go back to the point here of culture and multiculturality, especially in Brussels where I live and I like very much, you find so much that your culture is like a passport you have got to transport with you. Because, well, of course, you can still remain in your village and die there with all your children, your grandchildren, and never move from this village. But still, there is television, there is internet, and there all that. And so the multiculturality and moves to, well, you go to the grocer. My grocer is Turkish. Then you go to the post office. My post office are Flemish and Walloon. Then you go to the bank, and there is something else. Then you go to the restaurant, and everyone speaks different language, and so on and so on. So this identity, before, it was linked with the territory. And now the identity is not that linked anymore with the territory. It's like if you have got to your territory with your case and you move it and you are in Belgium. And so, of course, you will show or not show what you come about. And then comes the question of identity and identification, like to integrate and lose your identity and to integrate your different aspect within yourself and grow, and not, I like was saying this woman, make your identity, get fit with the national identity, and so you lose one, or you keep your identity, and so there is a big smash with the other one that says, but it is our country, it is our ground, and we were there before. So how do we do with that? Because we are in Europe, which is trying to have this new vision. And again, I think that the creativity impulse is very interesting. Like if we speak at this creative impulse with an artist, in the field of art, because it's larger than that. Well, an artist is alone. He has learned somewhere normally. And he knows rules, he knows his ancestor, his family of artists. He has got his history, of course. But at one stage, he has got to do a reset of that. And this reset is not easy. Because you cannot just, like in the south of France when I am, every time there is something, they show you Van Gogh. I've got nothing against Van Gogh, I think it's marvelous. But I mean, we are in the 21st century. You cannot just be always in the past. And so the artist at one stage has to be of his own time. And his own time, for many people, what makes his own time, in fact, is a tomorrow that is not visible yet. So this impulse has got to show this vision. And I think that this impulse, this creative impulse of showing a vision which is possible, but not yet there, is something that is not just with the artist, it can be with everyone. And so that makes a creative vision and gives solution, because we are badly in need of solution in a world of new paradigm. And the artist also has got to go against prejudice. He cannot say, well, this thing has got to be there. Because if I take Picasso, well, there is, I think, one. No, it's not one. Or yes, I don't know. If I take Picasso, because everybody here, I believe, know at least the word of Picasso, it takes a big jump to come from his painting to start with, which was a masterpiece, but very classical, to arrive to the Cubism. And why did he arrive to the Cubism? Because there was many discovery around him of the movement, of the locomotion around all the technology, and also the world of Africa. And because he was in tune and in vibration with all that, he could integrate to our vision. And now maybe one see a Picasso and take it, well, it's normal. But if you think that before, it was normal with this woman with an eye there, and I'm saying very ordinary talk now. But I mean that it is very difficult to take this new consciousness. And nowadays, it is also very difficult for people that are not quite involved in Europe and so on to take this new consciousness, because if there is rather the desire to go back. Like you say, well, art nowadays, what does it mean? Let's go back to make something like looks really like that. That is real art, because I can see it is a glass and there is water and I can handle it. So it is this new vision, and beyond this new vision, there needs to be this opening of the creative impulse. And an artist at one stage he loses his past, he loses his certitude. And the question is, how much are we ready to lose if we want to gain something new? That's the question. Some people have lost a lot, but the very important is not to lose oneself, even if at one stage in your movement you have this fear that it might happen. And so there is this necessity to go beyond limits. And today it is necessary to go beyond, for me, to go beyond the limits of frontier, the old understanding of frontier and territory, of identity and identification. And this creativity is something that goes for new solution, and not to be locked. Now the car, they are very fantastic. But when I was younger, there was a car, and there was not all this mirror, and there was what we call a dead angle. It's still on a bit today, but this dead angle is like that. And so when we don't have the creative process in movement, we are stuck in a dead angle. We don't see, we are blind. We know in our life, sometimes we want to find a solution, but we always look like that, and so solution is there. So it's not possible to find it. And I think that to develop the creative process, the creative impulse, is helping to find new way of seeing, and so new solution. And of course, art is all about that. An artist that is striking posterity is not an artist that has done the same things in the past. Of course, it's not enough to make something new to make art. That is another question, and quite a question. So the artist is faced with his doubt, his question mark, and he accepts to lose his certitude. And if we apply this creative interrogation to crisis, what can it mean? I mean, first of all, I believe you know it. The word crisis is a word that comes from the Greek. It is the word krino, and it means the opportunity for change. But when we have a crisis, we have very often the opportunity for fear. And so instead of going to a birth, we go to a regression. And so this opportunity for change is there. And in order that this change is not a going back, it is necessary to have for me this creative movement, this creative impulse, which has curiosity and an open mind, especially in this world of mondialism, where, as I say, our culture is not delimited anymore by a frontier, because this frontier we transport with us. And this creative process touches something deep in us, and it's specific to human beings. I mean, if we look at animal, I've got a cat. I like this cat very much. He has got lot of emotion, and I can make kind of language with this cat. Like human being, a cat, he needs to sleep, he needs to have security, he needs to eat, he needs many things we need as well. But it doesn't have, at least I don't think so, a creative process. Creative process is a specificity to human being, because if we see the animals since centuries and centuries at the beginning of the world, they are more or less the same. They're not the same, it's because we have disturbed them. But if we see the person from the physical level, we are more or less the same. I mean, for the moment, we are still in this homo actual. Huh? There was many, but we are still in this homo since many centuries. But with our thinking, with our technology, with our accomplishment, we are completely different. So what has made that? Of course, there is a lust for power, there's the czar, the competition, the money, and so on, so on, so. But not only that, there is really the desire to develop something of the self, to go beyond, to accomplish, to evaluate. And so that is really a specificity of human being. And where do we see the result of it? But we see it in many things, not only in art, we see it in our culture. And in culture, really, I will put also science. Of course, science is not an art like painting or writing, but it is an art in other way. But it is a research. Before you have science, you have a research. And in science, you have the dissident, like with the artist, you have the academic and the dissident artist. So it is this movement of creative process, and the creative process is with the scientifics that discover something. The Prix Nobel, the last prize of the discovery in Belgium, it's someone that searched. If he was sitting on his Big Bang certitude, he will have never find what he has found. So you have got to trust this creative process, which is a movement, is a process, and he walks on the road where you don't know where you go, except that you want to go there. Huh? So it is, he asks some risk. And so if this creativity can touch everyone, and it's badly needed today, and I think that politicians, well, maybe we should create a pile of creativity, because we all need it. And the politicians, of course, need to be creative, but citizens also need to be creative, because creativity is something that can lead to autonomy. I think that autonomy is very important nowadays. Not that I am against a state of providence that helps you with everything. But of course, it's we fight a lot for this right, and I still think that it's very nice to have a state that helps you. But at the same time, it is very important to develop our own autonomy of thinking and our autonomy of value as a citizens. And that will, of course, brings to action. And action can be to become a part of a charismatic association, but not just that. It can be your thinking, and in your thinking, you will have an impact on the world. Because this thinking normally is more open. I say normally because it's, of course, there is no guarantee. Huh? And also, this creativity is this creative process is a tremendous strength that you can have in your pocket, because, for example, there were people that were in prison, they were in the camp, they were tortured, they starved, they were hostage, they had drastic things. From the social point of view, they lost a job, they lost a child, but they had many things, and still they survived. And when they have survived, very often they do a work of art. And most of the time they write. They write because language is accessible to you. Even if you don't know how to write, at least you know how to speak. And you don't have to have an artist to put words on what you feel. And if you're an artist, of course, it is better because you will say it in a more wonderful way. But they need also to make a testimony. And when we read, and when they say that, they say how much he has helped them to survive through these different conditions, these difficult conditions. And when you read you read that book or you are in contact with his work, although you have not been through that, you feel enlarged by that. You receive something from these people that spoke of that, or they have lost themselves, or they went through. There is an enlargement. So it means that it really can touch something that is beyond identity. Because I can read a book from a Jewish torturate in German camp. I am born in France. I am not German. I am not Jewish, and still I will be touched. So what is touching me is beyond my roots, is beyond my nationality, is even beyond my time, because in my time I was not confronted with that. So. And if we want to find a link, we have got to find something that is a common denominator common. Something that you go layer, and finally you find something. There everyone has his base. And I find that art, of course, because art I know better than the rest, at least I hope so, can, because of this creative process, because the artist is always took by this creative process. I mean, when I am working, I listen and I write there. When I write, I wrote all the time. I don't write all the conference. I'm not interested in all the conference. Sometimes I do not understand. But at one stage there is one word. This woman, this man, he says something. Tack. So it means that my radio is on. It's not that I'm taking the word of the other person for me as he was mine. It is that he makes a bridge. He makes a bridge between the mine and another mine. And the point where the bridge is how my idea will go on with that. So the creative process is always on. You don't have to be in your studio. You don't have to be with your camera or your pencil. It is a way of being. It is an attitude. And so, and to do that, there need to be identity, because the radio is there as my identity. But you've got to turn the radio on, or you don't receive any radio. Huh? So if one is like that, it's not possible to have a creative impulse. Even if you are shut in your atelier, you have a creative impulse another way. That is more complicated, and it will be too much specific. But going back to creativity, there is also a point that I would like to emphasize, and that creativity is, when it leads to art, leads to something that is called beauty. Beauty with meaning. Well, I had a little reaction before, and I want to say beauty with meaning, because beauty, well, is a very difficult concept to take, to grasp. But let's take an experience that maybe all of you have experienced, that you are in a landscape and you feel alone, you don't feel very well, you feel cut, your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your whatsoever, your job, your boss. And there is beauty. And all of a sudden you don't feel alone anymore, and this beauty is coming inside you. Your ego, self-separate ego, for 1 second is not there anymore. You have fulfillment. You have joy. You have enlargement, you have gratitude, you feel one. And it is another state. And I think when you are in love at the beginning, after you have got all the territory and so on, but when you have this light, I think there is something that is really one of the things you can have with creative process. Even a scientific, wow, all of a sudden you find a formula, that's great. And so this enlightenment is there is something with the conferencier from Bulgaria say, well, it's nice to be with artists because with our job sometimes it is dull. Well, don't think artist is always a wonderful exaltation. Sometimes you just don't feel well like the other people. But there is this search for this movement of being the truth of truth. And it is in contact with reality because believe it, the artists, they pay their tax, they were to put an exhibition, you see there, the thing didn't work. It's very technical, it's very in the world, it's not just a world of dream. And this beauty, I think, it's something very different. And I thought when I write that, I thought, well, sometime, I don't know this year, but a time ago, there was an event, a project, and there was asked to people that 1 second all the electricity will be cut out, to find a kind of ecological gesture. And I thought, well, let's make a project, and 1 second everybody feels great, like in this moment of nature, you feel fulfilled, you are full of joy, you have something that explodes in you, you are so beautiful inside that you shine outside, even if you are not beautiful to start with. And think a bit, 1 second, everyone at the same time feels that. It will be great, no? And maybe it will change, it can change something to be in contact with that, because when you are in contact with that, you are within the self and within the collective, within the private and within the universal, with the past and with the future. There is no time, there is no space, there is no difference, and at the same time you are not lost, you are full. And that experiment of beauty is one of the cherry on the cake of creative impulse. And to end with, I would like to quote an artist. It is a painter, and his name is Lucian Freud. Maybe you know him. He happens to be the grandson of Sigmund Freud. And while he was in charge of choosing work within the collection of the National Gallery in London for an exhibition he had to make, he made this comment because he was required, why did you show that, what is art for you, and so on. Well, Lucian Freud is someone that didn't speak a lot. He's just dead now. What do I ask of a painting? I ask it to astonish, disturb, seduce. So nothing nice. Disturb, seduce, convince. When you are seduced, you feel taken in something. One quality that this painting share, the one he shows, is that they all make me want to go back to work. Well, for an artist, it's very important. It means that the art of this level makes you go back to what is you. It's not something that makes you outside you. All the contrary, it goes back to the deep you. So it's interesting that maybe a culture, instead of going back to separate you, when you go to another culture, you find more yourself, you understand even more your own culture. It's not something that deprives you, that negates you, that makes a danger. All the contrary, it roots more what is inside, because you can see the link. And then he said something marvelous for me. A burglar collector, burglar is someone that thief, a burglar collector breaks into the National Gallery to steal his favorite pictures. Will he then leave any of them behind for fear that he might not be able to display them to reveal their full splendor? And with that, I am ready to ask your question if you have any.
Thank you for your presentation. My name is Nafisa Toutin. I'm from Senegal, and I have a question about integration. what do you think about this word as artist? Because for me, coming from Senegal, integration means losing who I am. And I have a history when I came in Europe. I have my own culture when I came in Europe. And I feel comfortable when I heard about integration because integration means losing yourself. Do you think that it could be better when we are talking about cultural diplomacy to talk about um, adaptation in place of instead of integration? Because integration is very violent for me.
I can understand very well your reaction, but I introduce my word. I didn't put it like that. I say that I was an artist and a therapist. And so I use this word integration within my therapeutic field and not the word of diplomacy where I am not. Adaptation for a psychologue is really the worst word you can give because adaptation is well okay, I will lose myself and I will adapt to the world. I will not say my limit, I will not say I am not okay. Now integration, I spoke about the part of within yourself. As a person, we have many parts within yourself. Maybe you are a unique example that you are one. But for me, I'm not one. I am many inside me. And sometimes there is a battle between the part inside me. There is part I like, there is part I don't like, and there are a part that want to go there and a part that want to go there. I don't think I am a specimen alone. I think what I say is very banal. And in order to have peace, I'm not going to say to let's say a Viviane A, you must adapt to Viviane B. I will not say to a Viviane A, you must integrate in the way you understood it. But I will say to a Viviane larger, well, what do we do with Viviane A and Viviane V? Can we integrate them within Viviane A? And then I become someone greater. Because if this part, one part of me, is taking over another one, then we change the power of place, but we still not have peace inside. Do you understand what I mean? So I was speaking in the psychic way, and I understand why you have reacted like that. I think that. Well, of course, if I was to speak in a diplomacy in a different role than now, where I'm just sharing thought, I will maybe not use this word. But it is difficult to find a word because the woman that was before this Belgium from France, she explained very well that. To adapt, I don't think, for me, to adapt is not the right word. To integrate will mean that you will lose your identity in order to become like a majority, and that is not, it cannot be right. To adapt, I feel is a kind of political word to say more or less the same thing for me. But yet you are, one is different, and so hard to keep the identity and yet be in something that was previous and which is different. And it is like in our own identity. At one stage you grasp things. For example, you are a child of parents, but then one day you meet a man, you meet a woman, then you meet something, or you have a brother, a sister who was not there before. How do you take in that? You can say, I am jealous. I was the only one who's taking on my place. And then we have two countries. This one is Macedonian, the other one, what do they take, Alexandre le Grand? Why there is this hospital with the same name or the airport? What is that? We were previous there. And his brother, he arrived there and he take, I'm the only one child, so not my problem. And he takes all the view from mom and dad. And how are we going to share that? And there is the same thing within countries. And if we don't deal within us with the integration of all this part, it will be difficult to do it with the other one because a country is much more complicated than a person, and it's full of many persons. So it is in that meaning that I took the word integration, not in the meaning of flattening all the country, in the meaning of making all. To integrate someone in my country of a different country is to integrate his specificity, his difference, and not to make it a way. I know it's not the way it is used, and that is why it is proscribed from the dictionary. But there is not a better way at the moment of saying this word.